Jackson Elias lies dead in a New York hotel room, cruelly eviscerated by cultists for reasons unknown. A trail of paperwork suggests that a globe-spanning conspiracy, but can our brave investigators piece it all together without the help of their author friend? Let's find out now at the continuation of Masked Nyarlathotep. Steady Rolling Man presents Actual Play Podcast.
Jackson Elias left New York City in March 1923, saying in his final wire that he was off seeking material for another book and mentioning that he wanted to look further into Augustus Larkin's history and background. He was heading initially for London. You hadn't seen or heard of him until a couple of weeks ago when a cryptic radiogram from a ship at sea was received by Stanton, suggesting that you all meet up on January the 15th in New York. The telegram also mentioned that Jackson had uncovered information about the ill-fated and mainly forgotten Carlisle expedition, whose members all perished in mysterious circumstances some years back whilst in Kenya, later found to have been murdered by local tribesmen. Yesterday at 2 p.m, Jackson called Stanton to arrange the meeting. Once again, he referenced the Carlisle expedition, stating that it was not what everyone thinks, and that he was onto something big. Jackson's last hushed, almost frantic words, "I think they're onto me," proved horribly prophetic when you found his disemboweled body in room 410 of the Hotel Chelsea, along with the three men responsible for the atrocity. In the fight that ensued, the murderers were killed, but not before Lex sustained a serious knife wound, forcing him to spend some hours in hospital before joining the rest of you, being detained by Lieutenant Poole of New York's finest at Precinct 7A. After giving statements and seeming to win over the homicide detective, you were released in the early hours of this morning. Jacob still being in possession of the items you have recovered from Elias's room before the police arrived. The only clues you have as to what Jackson was working on and why your good friend was so brutally murdered. Early this afternoon, you reconvened at Lex's modest walk-up apartment in Hell's Kitchen and headed through the icy streets in a Ford Model A yellow taxi cab towards Emerson Imports, following your first lead. Okay. So you arrived at Emerson Imports, which is located on West 47th Street on the docks, just north of Hell's Kitchen. An icy cold wind blows in from the Hudson River. You saw a long, narrow dockside warehouse, the yard of which was piled high with freight in between huge mounds of cleared snow. Long icicles hang from the warehouse's eaves. There are several men in brown overalls wearing woolly hats and gloves working in the yard or in the warehouse, and a couple of lift trucks in operation. You, Douglas and Jacob, had just finished examining the crates and finding a name upon them when you were approached by an employee of Emerson Imports, a stocky man wearing a bobble hat and a thick pair of gloves. He got down from his lift truck and starts wandering towards you. That's where we finished last session. Okay. So yeah, he wanders towards you and says, "Can I help you at all? You looking for something?"
Yeah. Who would be the best person to talk to? Like, who's in charge here?
That's Mr. Emerson. Why?
Where would be the best place to find him?
Well, he'll be in his office.
Is he there now?
Yeah. He's up there now. Yeah. Why do you need to see Mr. Emerson?
Interested in a business proposition. Could you assist us with that, or would talking to Mr. Emerson be? No,
you'll need to see the boss if you're interested in that. He points to like a shabby-looking blue door on the front left of the building. There's a door up the stairs, and his office is first on the left.
Excellent. Thanks very much for your help.
He just nods and turns around and crunches back through the snow to his lift truck, and then carries on working.
Are we out of earshot of anyone else at the moment?
Yeah, the rest. Yeah, he came over to approach you. You're kind of right on the limit of the yard. Nobody else can hear you.
What's the plan? Shall I tell him that I'm interested in importing something from Kenya?
Yeah, we've got. We're involved in importing tribal art and we've been let down by our existing importer, and we're sounding out for potential business. We'd like to know, what, whether he deals with those kind of items, whether he's got anybody that he could recommend that we speak to, who he currently works with, so that we could get references because of the value of the things that we'll be importing, that kind of thing.
Yeah, but should we focus in particular on connections with Mombasa, because that seems to be the connection that Jackson may have identified.
Maybe, but I would be concerned about going right on the nose straight off.
Africa then. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Happy with that, gentlemen?
Do we all need to go in, or it's a bit mob-handed?
I think I'll stay this side of the door. I can make sure it's private for you.
That would be good.
Sounds good.
Would you like me to assist? I could play the role of your bookkeeper, or just stay outside or stay quiet.
Well, it's entirely
Ignore
up to
the
you.
repeats of Peru, do we?
Entirely up to you. Yes, well, I don't think it's going to be an old lady in there, so I think we'll be safe. Well, if Jacob takes the lead, because this is his area of expertise, then I don't know how you wish to introduce yourself. I could be the business partner, given my knowledge as well. You could be the bookkeeper. Would seem a little strange to invite the bookkeeper along, however.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe better to wait outside with Lex.
Yes.
In case he has a funny turn.
And also, we don't want to leave any of us
on their own.
On their own.
Exactly so.
Are we going to give real names?
No.
Slightly.
Oh no. We have to come up with
pressure. Fake name pressure.
Oh no, yeah, that's good job you mentioned that now.
Yes. All right, I'll be standing outside thinking of some fake names.
Okay, I'm going to be Percy Elliott.
Alexander Cotton.
Great name.
Right, let's go before we buckle out.
Before we forget what our fake names are.
So we'll head up up the stairs or through to the door.
I want to know, more importantly, I want to know whether our company is Elliott and Cotton or Cotton and Elliott.
It's Cotton and Elliott. You're an investor.
The silence partner. Very well.
Yeah.
You head across the icy warehouse yard to the battered blue door that the Emerson Imports employee directed you towards. And you push it. As you do, there's a staircase beyond, wooden, uncarpeted staircase. It looks fairly shabby, as you'd expect for a kind of a warehouse office. There are two employees that are actually coming down the stairs as you head in. You see a tall, muscular African man with a shaved head, and also a man with a graying beard. And it's the guy. It's the second man. They're both wearing the same overalls with Emerson Imports on their chest. The second man has an Irish accent, and he says, "Good afternoon. Can I help? Who are you looking for?"
Good afternoon. We're looking for Mr. Emerson. Is he in?
He just says, "Yeah, up on the left. He's in the middle of his lunch."
Well, I'm sure he won't mind being distracted with a business proposition. Thank you. Sort of stride on up.
Okay, you head up the stairs, and you see the door with with Arthur Emerson on a plaque.
I'll knock firmly on the door and go straight in.
Okay, you knock firmly on the door, and you see a well-muscled man with thick brown, neatly groomed hair, wearing a brown suit, and in the middle of eating by what looks to be a pastrami sandwich, sat at his desk. He kind of clears his mouth, quickly chews.
Mr. Emerson, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Who are you?
Alexander Cotton, and this is one of my investors, Percy Elliott. Pleased to meet you.
Good afternoon.
Yeah. What are you here for? Business?
Hoping you might have some time to discuss some business. Yes.
Of course. Yeah, I've always got time to discuss business. Just bear with me. Hold on a second. Let me clear my desk. He clears his desk away and moves his sandwiches away, and he's got like a flask there as well. He moves that away, and he's got quite a direct gaze. Kind of looks at you, narrow. He's almost like he's eyeing you up, kind of trying to get your measure as he's clearing away his desk. Right, he says, brushing down his suit. Shoot.
Well, Mr. Emerson, I deal in art and antiquities, and we've got a particular line of antiquities from Egypt and the east coast of Africa. I do have some contacts there, but they've rather let me down somewhat, and I'm looking to set up a new contract with an importer who can regularly bring items back from that neck of the world, part of the world, to New York. Is that something you'd willing to discuss?
Well, that's what we do. From where did you say?
Well, Egypt and the east coast of Africa, that part of the world, there are we've got a number of areas where we're managing to obtain antiquities from. So it would potentially be that area of the world.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like the kind of thing I'd be interested in.
Do you have contacts there?
In Egypt?
Yes. Well, Egypt or East Africa.
Well, yes, I do.
You sound uncertain.
No, I'm not uncertain at all. I'm just thinking about. I do. I have contacts in all over Africa, to be honest. But
it's just you know what things are like in that part of the world. One needs local boots on the ground, as it were, a fixer who knows the local customs, the local people, and can arrange things. How we say.
Where are you looking to ship from?
Well, Egypt would be one possibility, and further south, somewhere around Kenya, perhaps, would be the other.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's certainly something I'm in. How much is you say you've been let down? How much is the contract worth?
Well, I think I'd probably rather be a trial run, as it were, Mr. Emerson, before we commit to anything too large. Perhaps an initial run of 20 or so crates.
Well, yeah, I'm happy. Ultimately, it all comes down to money, there, doesn't it? I mean, it doesn't sound like it's so much of a 20 or so crates. That doesn't sound like anything that's potentially worth my while, really.
No, but they are incredibly valuable items. Now, if that is not your area of expertise and you are more into the bulk shipments, then perhaps we've come to the wrong place. But obviously, we'd be willing to pay a premium to ensure that secure transport is provided. We wouldn't want to lose anything. Do you have experience of transporting high-value items?
Yes. Yes. I can't say that it's something that we specialise in or do on a regular basis, but and especially not from that distance. But we have done it before for our existing customers. So, sorry, who did you say that you worked for?
Well, I work for myself, Mr. Emerson. It's my business, and as I say, Mr. Elliott here is an investor, so he has a stake in the business. We're looking to expand.
Well, I'm sure we could do a deal. We could look at something. Pretty busy though. I mean, when are you looking to start this?
Or within the next.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to suggest we would need some kind of conducted due diligence on your business. We're looking at transporting items up to the value of $75,000 in the first shipment. There's obviously a sizable amount of money, and we couldn't just hand that over without checking your credentials.
Do you have a contact down in East Africa that we could put our people there in touch with?
I don't have anybody I could recommend in Egypt. No, I have a contract in Kenya with an exporter there.
And who's that? Is it someone I might have heard of?
I'm bear with me a second. Okay, can you?
Is he point blank range?
I'm trying to just work out which social skill is going to be most appropriate.
I think if I'm trying, I'd always revert to charm as my go-to, but I suppose I'm going to have
I think
to
in a
engage
business
a bit more.
environment, yeah.
Is it persuade? Maybe.
Yeah, I think it's persuade, really.
Ouch.
Yeah, I'm not. No, I shouldn't have said that. I would have said it's fast talk personally.
I'm having a look at fast talk as well to see whether it may be that.
I'd suggest it's fast talk on the basis that we're completely making it up as we go along.
We are talking really quickly.
Yeah, okay. I'm happy for you to. I think it fits with either, really. So yeah, if you want to make a fast talk roll, I just want to just kind of make sure that he doesn't feel there's something odd going on.
Yeah, he probably does, given that roll.
What did you get?
82. Fail.
Okay. Yeah, you see, he kind of screws up his eyes a little bit. He's like, "Yeah, do you know what? If you give me a card, maybe I'll get in contact with you. I'm not sure whether we can accommodate such high value items like that.
No.
Our coverage wouldn't stretch to that for a start. You'd have to arrange your own insurance, and it's that part of the world. It's unpredictable.
Well, that is true, which is the reason why we need somebody that is reliable. We did actually. There an African gentleman departing as we came in. Is he local or is he one of your agents visiting?
Yeah, it's one of my employees. There's loads of them here, if you've noticed.
No, I didn't have an opportunity to look around.
Right, New York, I meant. Yeah. I think maybe for now, so if you give me a card, have you got a card so I can get in contact with you?
I think
unfortunately,
Mr. Emerson will be in touch with you if we decide to proceed any further.
Okay.
Well, I'm sorry that we couldn't progress more quickly with this. We will see how we fare with some of your competitors. Thanks very much for your time.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Okay. He just watches you leave.
That was highly productive.
Mm.
Now I think it's time for Elliot and Cotton, otherwise known as Stanton and Lexi, to go in and try.
Nice.
Yeah. We'll head out away from the warehouse then, shall we?
Okay.
We'll fill in Lex and Stanton on after we leave on all the massive amounts of information that we gathered from that conversation.
We've solved it. We've solved the conundrum. I should have introduced myself as Stanton Fitzwarren. That would be funny. So that was.
So did we learn anything?
Other than that, they do import from Africa, and that I assume that all black men that I see around here are from Africa rather than elsewhere in the New York vicinity.
He wasn't willing to disclose any of his contacts, so the name on the back of that business card didn't come up. He was quite tight-lipped.
Thing is, any additional attempt to return either of you two with a different story, he will be instantly suspicious because we've already had a prod and failed. Right?
Yes, certainly. If you two can't convince him, I think Lex and I will have less luck.
So I think so far the only connection with Emerson Imports is the Mombasa connection, isn't it? Which is because Carlisle's sister, Erica, came to Mombasa to search for them. That's where they'd arrived, having gone to Egypt first.
Is that a connection or is it just a massive port?
Well, the connection is the business card that Jackson had.
Where are we heading next then?
Well, I wonder if we ought to. I know that was my suggestion to go to Emerson, and it's been a bit of a spectacular fail. But I wonder. I mean, Jackson was investigating something. I wonder whether we should just go a bit more directly to try and retrace some of Jackson's steps and try and find out a bit more about what he was investigating, because whatever it was led to him being killed.
That is true.
And the leads there are things like, well, I wonder whether the Harvard University might be Or possibly Jackson's publisher. Maybe his publisher had a better idea of what he was working on, and presumably they won't know about his death yet.
His publisher's in the city, right?
I think so.
Yeah, you know that Prospero House. You've met his publisher, Jonah Kensington, because at the anniversary back in 1923, when you all got together to celebrate the anniversary of the pyramid being destroyed or sealed, he brought Jonah Kensington, his publisher, along with him. So you know that Prospero House is the name of the publishing company.
Yeah, that does seem worth a bet.
They're certainly right. They might not even know. You can find out what he was working on. He might even have a draft.
Mm.
Yeah. I mean, we know Jackson left after Peru to investigate Larkin's background further, and we know that he wanted to speak to us about information he had about the Carlisle expedition, but what he's been doing and what he's been investigating in the meantime, other than that, is a mystery at the moment.
What time of day is it?
It's mid-afternoon.
Is anybody hungry?
As you're stood in the
Always.
on the kind of edge of the docks, just outside of the yard of Emerson Imports, you see chatting. Obviously, you see the blue door open, and the besuited figure of Arthur of Mr. Emerson actually comes out of the door and heading quite purposefully across the yard towards you.
Oh, it's coming towards us. Okay.
He comes up to you and he says, "You still hanging around here?
Waiting for a cab."
How did you get my name?"
It's written on the side of your building.
No, I mean, who recommended you?
Nobody recommended you to us. We are, as we said, looking for new export supplies, and it's not very difficult to walk up and down the docks to find people such as yourselves. We weren't recommended to visit you, and if anybody had given us that recommendation, I would be returning to say that it was a very poor one.
Yeah, well, when you've been in the business as long as I have, you learn to smell a rat. There's something that doesn't add up about you guys.
Well, what can I say? There's certain aspects to the imports that, let's just say, we would not wish a huge amount of attention when they are brought into the country. Now, if you're not the kind of person to deal with those kind of considerations, then indeed that's probably for the best. If you get my meaning.
I'm not one for beating my gums. I'm keep my nose down and ask no questions kind of guy.
Well, then perhaps there may be some business. You're obviously very astute, and when people come asking questions, you shut down quite quick, which is exactly the kind of person we want to work with.
Yeah, it just seems a bit odd to me that you're the second person coming asking about East Africa in the space of a couple of days.
Well, that
really
does seem odd, Mr. Emerson, and that concerns me. We place a premium on discretion given our business.
I'll fold my arms and look stern and go, "Competition, boss?"
Possibly either that or the cops.
Yeah.
Did they smell like police to you?
No, he didn't. He didn't smell like anything. He was quite straight up.
Can you describe him for us?
Could do, but he kind of felt genuine to me. Whereas you guys, why don't we just start again from the beginning, and maybe if you just level with me, we'll have more chance of making some progress. Get rid of all these smokes and mirrors and all that sort of crap just gets in the way.
Well, very well then. Jacob, perhaps you could show this gentleman the card.
This is how we were recommended to you, if I can put it that way. I'll show him the card.
Are you going to give it to him?
We're not going to show it to him. We're not going to give it to him.
Okay.
And the name on the back. Showing the name on the back. Do you know this person?
So are you cops or sleuths or something?
No. We're trying to find a friend, and this is the only lead that we have. We're concerned friends. We're not cops, and we're not sleuths.
I think we better get back inside. He turns and trudges off across the icy yard, kind of looking over his shoulder for you to follow him.
Okay. I'll say to Lex, Jake, you wait here. We'll, if we're not out shortly, come looking.
You're leaving Lex outside.
Yeah. Jake.
I'll just nod sternly.
I'll look to Jake and look back at Mr. Cotton
Okay. And are you going in then,
wonderingly.
Stanton?
Don't know.
Wow.
I'm waiting to be told what to do. Raise my eyebrows.
I think stay
Would you like me
here.
to? Okay.
We'll keep.
Okay, you take him back into the office, and the first thing that he does is Mr. Emerson opens the drawer of his desk and pulls out a paper. And on the front of the New York Times, today's New York Times, in fact, is an article detailing an attack by the Chicago North Side gang on Al Capone using Tommy guns to rake his car with bullets as it idled outside a State Street restaurant. Apparently, Capone was unhurt as he was inside doing business at the time. But your eye is drawn below that article to more interest to you. If you want to look on Roll20, okay. Author murdered by brutal killers.
I'm assuming, Mr. Emerson, that the person you're referring to is the person in this article.
And I'm assuming that the person you're referring to is the person in this article, because that's the card that I gave him. I saw him write that name on the back. Is he your friend?
He was a very good friend.
So why did you come in here giving me all that baloney?
Because we had some suspicion that you may have been involved in his murder.
You
I'm
appreciate
shocked.
we need to be careful, Mr. Emerson. Our friend's been murdered. We don't know why. We're trying to find out. And we need to be careful.
I understand, but surely the cops are dealing with it.
They are. But you know as well as I do that the cops aren't always that effective. People close up rather than talk to them. They have rules that perhaps we don't have to follow.
Well, it's a shock for sure. He was stood right where you are just 3 days ago. He seemed like a swell kind of guy.
He was.
What was he asking about? Sorry.
He was here Tuesday. He came asking questions about shipments from Mombasa.
Was he interested in anything in particular?
Well, this ain't got nothing to do with his murder, has it?
We
Well-
don't know. That's what we're trying to find out.
So why aren't the cops been around here then?
Well, that's a good question. As I said, sometimes they aren't that effective. Maybe they'll follow up in a few months.
We may be one step ahead of them on this particular line of inquiry, Mr. Emerson.
Well, I'll tell you what I told poor Mr. Elias. I'm the US agent for the Mombasan exporter Arjit Singh. He only has one US account. That's here in New York. Juju House, Ransom Court, Harlem, off West 137th, east of Lenox Avenue. From what I understand, your friend was looking to pay Juju House a visit to talk with the manager. And he points to the card, Silas Nkwane.
And do you know what he wanted to speak to Mr. Nkwame about?
No, he didn't say. Like I said before, I'm normally a ask no questions kind of guy, and I don't go around divulging my business contacts left, right, and centre. But like I said to Mr. Elias, there's something about that guy that makes my skin crawl.
Well, we do appreciate, Mr. Emerson, you bending your rules on this for us. Jackson was a dear friend of ours, and we do want to find out who killed him.
He wanted to know what kind of stuff was being imported, but I told him it's just all African baloney and mumbo jumbo. That's what I understand. But
So I understand. You say you do the imports for Arjit Singh, and it goes for Juju House, which he owns, and Silas Nkwame is the manager. Is that? Did I understand? No.
No. They're the Singh is the exporter. He exports.
Oh, right.
Juju House is just their only customer here in New York.
Right. Sorry, I misunderstood.
When you say African mumbo jumbo, what sort of things were being brought in?
Well, I things like drums and masks, bits and pieces like that, even ceremonial kind of spears and things. You know that sort of baloney. Anything that kind of looks a bit scary. The shop down in Harlem. That's the he's in the right place for it. If you get my meaning.
Right.
But it ain't my job to ask too many questions. The questions don't pay the bills. But
I'm assuming that the exports from Mombasa are continuing unabated. Nothing unusual's happened in that front.
No? Since when?
Don't know. Any time in the last few months to the last few days.
The shipments normally come in fairly regular. Like kind of monthly or so. No, I haven't seen anything odd happen. No.
When's the next one due?
He turns around and kind of walks across and gets a ledger out of his filing cabinet. Probably around the end of the month, beginning of February, maybe.
Okay.
But I don't understand what is all this about. I mean, what is this? What this newspaper article? I mean, just something odd going on, and I don't see how you don't think that more asking about this kind of stuff was anything to do with him being killed, surely.
We don't know at the moment. This is the trouble. At the moment, we've got very, very little to go on. But thanks to you, we've learned more in the last 15 minutes than all the knowledge we had prior. So thank you very much.
Like if you're thinking that maybe them knives were bought from that shop, then that could happen.
Well,
it's not ceremonial weapons. That's
indeed a possibility. Something we'll have to investigate. Would seem strange though that someone would choose to use something like that, going to the effort to buy something like that, unless there was some meaning to it. It's an unusual way to kill somebody.
Well, whatever happened, it's a shock to me, and I think I might have to go to the police. But, maybe I should now that I've spoken to you. Now that I know, just to kind of make sure everything's above board.
No, absolutely. I'd recommend that you go and speak to Lieutenant Poole.
Okay. Well, that's all I know. So,
we really appreciate it, Mr. Emerson. Thank you.
So you're not in Porters after all?
No, concerned friends, Mr. Emerson.
Yeah, I knew there was something not quite right about you. Anyway, the newspaper article seems to say that the funeral is on Monday. You notice that it says the funeral will be held on Monday, the January the 19th at 2 p.m. at Cypress Hills Cemetery, Brooklyn. Feel inclined to turn up, even though I didn't know this Jackson Elias. I understand that he's written some books and he's a good guy, and I just hope that I might see you there if you're going.
Well, we may see you there, Mr. Emerson. And once again, thank you for your help.
Okay. Yeah, he sits back down on his desk, opens his drawer, and starts tucking into the rest of his pastrami sandwich.
Anyway, I take it we're departing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lex, outside, can you make a percentile roll for me, please?
I rolled 87.
Okay, thank you.
You missed it.
Right, okay, you're back outside now. It's kind of 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock-ish time. Obviously, with it being January, there's not many hours of the daylight. The temperature is already starting to plummet.
Should we head and get something to eat, gentlemen, and have a chat about our next move?
Might I suggest Chinatown? Because then, whilst we're eating, we could maybe ask whether any of the waiters or kitchen staff recognise which Oriental port that photograph of that ship is from.
Yeah.
Okay, you head to a diner in Chinatown.
So I'll fill Stanton and Lex in on what we got from Emerson on the way.
So the little discussion was that Mr. Emerson's been importing items from Africa, from Mombasa, and delivering them to this juju house in Harlem.
They are, but although Emerson are the US agents for someone called Arjun Singh, who's an exporter, so I think Arjun Singh may be the.
So he's based in Mombasa.
I think so, and then the end customer is Juju House, which is Silas and Kwame here.
Yeah, the Arjun Singh, that was a name that you saw on the crates when you were looking at the end last session. So that's the stamp on the crates that come in.
So is that R.J. Singh or RJARJAY.
Oh, Arja. A-R-J-A. I think it is.
ARJA.
Let me just I'll just make sure I get that right for you. No, A-H-J-A. A-H-J-A. Arja Singh, yeah. Singh, S-I-N-G-H.
Mm.
Do we have a trip to Brooklyn in our futures? Not Brooklyn. Harlem. Sorry.
Harlem.
I just really want to go to Brooklyn. I've got that in my head.
I'm wondering whether I'd rather have a bit more information about what we're walking into first, because Silas and Kwame is a lot closer to Jackson's death than Emerson was in terms of timing.
Yeah, exactly. So,
and there's the African connection as well.
well, he said he gave him the creeps. Remember the last time that we ran into somebody that gave us the creeps? He turned out to be slightly creepier than we could possibly have imagined.
And some.
But he might just be an innocent party who is importing what he considers to be harmless objects, and somebody bought them knowing their true purpose. But I'm not necessarily willing to take that risk.
And we should go to Jackson's funeral, not only to pay our respects, but it would be interesting to see who else attends.
Yeah, most definitely.
Okay, so you head through. You've headed through the city, and you've arrived at Chinatown, and you head into the nearest pleasant, reasonable-looking diner. And now you're kind of seated. It's not very busy because it's quite early for clientele to arrive. So you're seated at a table, just chatting, looking out onto the street outside. The snow is still started to come down again, but only lightly. But you're glad to be inside because outside is the temperature's dropping quite considerably.
Right.
Did you say you're going to show the photograph?
Yeah, just when we're ordering, ask the waiter if recognises the port. It's a long shot.
Okay.
Many countries.
Yeah, you're gonna have to be quite lucky for that. Okay, so
well, if it's a major port, you never know.
Exactly. So can we have a group luck roll? So that's basically whoever's got the lowest luck. Now, the only person's luck that I don't know is, for some reason, is yours, Lex.
Because he hasn't got any.
Yeah. So what actually is your luck currently?
50.
Okay. So could you make a luck roll then, please, to see whether you fall lucky that somebody in the restaurant that you're in might actually know anything about this?
I have rolled 46.
Ah, okay. Success. It's a boat.
In front of a big house.
That is a river.
Can anyone read the first few letters on the name of the ship?
Can anyone read them?
Yeah.
It's
Looks like
D-A-R is D-A-R.
Yeah.
Delta Alpha Romeo.
Yeah.
That's, you would be able to see that if you actually could see had the photo in your hand. Okay. When you ask the waiter, or he tells you, I'm not going to do a Chinese accent. He tells you that the photo, he recognises it, and he says, yes, it's the Wangpu River in Shanghai.
Shanghai.
Yeah, so he says that he also tells you that the boats in the foreground are Chinese junks, but he says that steamship in the background looks like a British ship.
That's very useful.
I'd order some more dim sum.
We should see if we can conduct some research. The Lloyd's Register of Ships should perhaps tell us if it's based in Shanghai, British ship, maybe registered. We've got its first few letters.
The matchbook in Jackson's possession had with the Stumbling Tiger Bar.
Yeah, that was Shanghai, wasn't it?
It said Shanghai Fun and Friends on it.
Yep.
There we go. So he's been to Shanghai.
What day is it today?
Today is Friday, the 16th of January.
And was the funeral on Monday?
Funeral's on Monday the 19th. Yeah.
Well, where next, gentlemen?
Publisher.
Running
I think that'll be one of the less
of office
dangerous.
hours.
Yeah.
Running out of office hours. If we're going to go, we just get a crack on.
Yeah, you'll need to. It's about 4:30 now. So yeah, you're going to need to head off there quick if you want to catch him open on a Friday.
We phone ahead.
That's an idea.
Yep. Okay. you're going to try. Well, you'll probably need to find like a hotel or something that you can use the phone in.
How far is it? I mean, it might just be quicker to go if we're not too far away. If it was going to take us ages, then we're better to phone ahead and try and ask Jonah to wait for us.
Yeah, it's.
I know it's got that letter from Memory Art. That's right.
It's in the Murray Hill neighbourhood. It's well, with public transport, taking an electric tram, you could probably get there in about 20 minutes from where you currently are.
Or should we just head off?
Yeah. Let's hope he's a workaholic still there.
Well, he's a publisher. He's bound to be, surely.
Well, most likely he's in the pub by 3 o'clock.
Yeah, I'd say they'd be hammered by now.
Okay. You head out, and presently you're on the trolley car heading out of Chinatown towards the Murray Hill part of the city. Yeah, you have to make sure you're wrapped up warm because even on the tram it's freezing cold now. It must be getting down towards like minus double figures already.
What were the two letters on the letters we could read on the boat on the British ship?
DAR Delta Alpha Romeo. Okay, so finally you arrive at the offices of Prospero House, which are located on Lexington Avenue near 35th Street. From the outside, the building looks a fairly modest concern. So obviously not a huge publishing outfit, but as you're aware, they aim for rather than bestsellers, they aim for books that deserve to be published that will be of interest to select readers, rather than kind of big blockbusters, as it were. Okay, so you hop off the tram and dash across the icy pavement, up the steps, and into the foyer. The building houses a few businesses, and the sign outside on the wall indicates that Prospero House is on the first floor.
We'll head up. We'll all go this time, shall we?
Yeah, we've all met them before.
Okay, you all go upstairs. You come to the door, which has Prospero House on it on the outside plaque. The door's actually open. You can see an office beyond. You're just going to walk in.
Yeah.
Okay. It still seems pretty busy. You can see there are 3 employees, all seated at their typewriters, and there's a kind of glass dividing wall, which is beyond there. You can see Jonah Kensington, a short, squat man with a balding pate, framed by curls of greying red hair. He's wearing an immaculate tailored suit that somehow manages to flatter his bulbous frame. He's wearing pince-nez glasses. And you've only met him once a couple of years back, but you remember him to be quite an eccentric, gregarious fellow.
There's no secretary or receptionist around, is there? Is it?
No, there's no secretary or receptionist. The desk's empty, but one of the typists kind of looks up from her work. She looks over the top of her glasses. Can I help?
Oh, good afternoon. We're here to see Jonah.
She says. He just gestures with a hand to the door.
Thank you.
Okay, open the door. You open the door, and he looks up from his work. As soon as you open the door, you're hit by a blast of sweet-smelling aftershave that would actually be fairly pleasant if it just wasn't so strong. He looks up and over his glasses. Ah, come in, grab a seat.
Thank you, Jonah. It's good to meet you again. Sorry, it's not under better circumstances.
Not in these circumstances. I've been meaning to contact you all day. He looks at the clock. He says, "Is that the time? I'm so sorry. I've had a wild day so far. I've been trying to work on a deal on some abominable Tibetan snowman nonsense. Do you happen to know anybody from the Royal Geographical Society, do you?"
Oh, not myself, Jonah.
Oh, no mind. Oh, so what about it then? Jackson, I mean, how terrible.
Well, it was awful, Jonah. It was awful. We're helping the police with their inquiries, and we're really looking to try and find out what on earth happened to Paul Jackson. Would you mind if we talk to you about it?
Of course, yeah. I mean, you say it was awful, almost like you were there.
Well, no. From what we've heard, it was horrendous. We've spoken to the police.
I'm no dog sleuth like our friend Jackson, but he was always tangling with those blood cults of his.
Well, that's where we wanted to start with you, Jonah. Is we wanted to try and get an idea of what Jackson was investigating and what he was doing in the weeks before his death.
It's far from inconceivable that some of his old enemies finally caught up with him. I mean, that's what the police think, is it?
Was he working on a new book?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like he may have stumbled upon something of greater danger or importance during this latest investigation. He must have told you this, yes?
Well, no. He came back to New York. He wanted to speak to us, and he was going to. Well, we assume he was going to tell us about his investigation, but he never got the chance.
He was
Yes.
dead before he could. What was it? What was he writing?
Can I have would you like a cigar, anybody? He says as he opens his cigar box.
I'll take one.
Thank you.
Not for me, thank you.
I'm fine, thank you.
They've quite a robust flavour. Those boys down in Cuba really know how to roll them.
Oh, you're spoiling us, Jonah. Thank you.
Well, let's have one in memory of Jackson, shall we? He likes
Quite
a
right.
cigar. Jackson had
light up
taken.
as well. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. He offers all of you a light. It says Jackson had taken to believing that one of those blood cults had massacred the Carlisle expedition, which to me sounded like a whole lot of yesterday's news, as I understand that they had the culprits put to death some years back. But according to Jackson, not all of the expedition's principals have been killed, maybe even Carlisle. Now, this smelled like a story with some legs. Anything sensational about that Carlisle scamp is sure to rake in cash. That's pretty much all I knew. Well, other than some notes and stuff that he sent me.
You have them?
Yeah, I do. Hold on. He stands up, he walks across to the door. Muriel, pull my correspondence file for Elias, will you? The typist who originally gestured for you to come in, she retrieves them from a cabinet out in the main office. Yes, he says, flicking through some papers. Let's have a look at this. Here, just bear with me whilst I flick through. Yes, here we go. Here, look at this. He sent this from Nairobi in August last year. Yes. Okay. If you want to look on Roll20, you will see the letter sent from Jackson to Jonah, August the 8th, 1924, from Nairobi.
Got terrible handwriting.
It really does.
My goodness, he says, the lad was prolific. Let me see if I can dig out Muriel's typed summary report on his notes, because look at these. I mean, he's literally got a sheaf of notes that are about 3 inches thick. Yeah.
Blood and guesses.
Mm?
Where he signed off his letter. What extraordinary.
He was a bit like that. Oh, I do miss him.
Gallows humour.
Keep expecting him to walk back in through that door, laughing about his latest near miss that he's had. Can't believe he's gone. It's terrible.
They did say, did they not, when we were reading, that the bodies were almost impossible to identify?
Yes, there's something in these notes about that. Just if I can find them. Sorry, these are a few years old. Where are the notes? The latest notes that and really need to sort out my filing system. Okay. I'll just put it on to the Investigator Notes channel on a Discord, because it's probably easy to do that rather than it doesn't seem to want to show too well on Roll20. So what Jonah does is he hands you a summary. He says, look at all. He basically shows you all these notes. So these are all of Jackson's notes from Nairobi, and we've done a summary of those. So then these kind of 8 separate, I think it's 8 separate sets of notes.
Oh, blimey.
Can you all see them can you see the document on a Discord?
Yeah.
Yeah, got it.
Very interesting.
Is it okay for you to read it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I opened it in the browser.
Yeah. Yeah, if you do that, it's a lot better now. No, Muriel, you can't go home yet. I know it's Friday, but we need to get it finished. Sorry about that. Do you want a cup of coffee or anything?
Coffee would be fantastic, thank you.
Muriel, can we have a cup of some coffee in here for my guests, please? Yes, there's a lot there, so it took a fair old time first to summarise them all, but these are the actual notes. There's a lot of them. Interesting, isn't it, from what I can remember?
It is rather.
I think, Jonah, that probably tells us 100 times more than we knew when we walked in the door about what Jackson was doing.
Yes, I'm so sorry. I have meant ever since I heard the news, I've been meant to contact you, but I'm glad you came over. I don't know what he got himself mixed up in, but I'm sure that it had something to do with this. I mean, you need to be careful too. This is work for the cops, not for you.
Jonah, do you know whether Jackson was looking for some book or some information from Harvard University?
Well, I remember receiving a letter recently. No, I don't know if I still have it. I have a feeling I may have given it to Jackson. But yes, it came from Harvard University. But from memory, they didn't have the volume that he was looking for. I don't know what the volume was, I'm afraid. Why?
Well, that was one. I think we may have seen the letter. The letter you referred to.
Yeah, Miriam Attright, I think. Would that be right?
That rings a bell.
Yeah. He's used her a few times for. She has an interest in cults as well. In fact, I think she had a bit of a crush on Jackson, to be honest. He always denied it, but I'm sure that she did. She read all his books and could quote them back to him. I mean, that's just not right, is it? Anyway, so those notes that's a summary of the notes that he that we had from him, and then after all that, I received a wire from Hong Kong back in September last year to ensure me that his inquiries were proceeding nicely. Then I had nothing until Boxing Day, when he wired again. And this time, he was in London. He seemed very excited, and if I dare say it, I mean, for fear of speaking ill of the dead, a little crazy sounding. He's always been a bit hyper, but I was concerned about him. He said he'd been in London for a few days, where he dug up a lot of stuff. He'd been talking to Scotland Yard and a Fleet Street newspaper, and he said he'd seen unbelievable things. I mean, he mentioned some sort of monstrous plan or conspiracy that he said was of worldwide proportions. He said that there was a timetable and that he needed to find the missing pieces. He even mentioned needing to go to Australia, of all places, but he didn't explain any more. And the wire ended saying that he would be back in New York soon, and that as he was taking passage on a freighter the next morning. When he did arrive back in New York a few days ago, he left some more notes with me. I have to be honest and say that they were so bewildering and fragmentary that I concluded that Jackson had been tipped over the edge. I mean, I told him he needed to take some time off. And to be truthful, I wanted to tell him that he needed to check into a sanitarium, but I could tell by the look in his eyes that they would be wasted words. I can't help but feel like I should have done more. But once he had a scent, there was no stopping him. I'd always grown used to his tales of narrow escapes and death-defying bravery. I keep expecting him to walk through the door, and you see tears well in his eyes, and he removes his glasses and wipes them. Apologies, I'm talking to you like you don't know him. I was always sure that there was more to your expedition in Peru than Jackson let on.
Yes, but seems nothing compared to what he encountered since.
I know. Yeah, the notes that he left me a few days back, they were not Jackson. I mean, they were. I don't know what had happened to him, but it just didn't. No, they weren't right.
Do you have those notes, Jonah?
I'm almost reluctant to show them to you, to be honest, but I feel I should. He rummages about in the bottom of his drawer, his desk. Okay, he pulls out from his drawer. He pulls out another sheaf of notes. For their pages that are folded and stitched together to form a small quarto volume of about 40 pages. You see that as he kind of puts it on the desk and you start flicking through it, frequently a page or a dozen or more are blank. Sometimes a single word is repeated for several pages. Most entries are written with agitation and can barely be read. All the words, however, are clearly in Elias's hands. If you look on Roll20, then you will see all the words that are on those 40 pages.
Which is that one sheet?
This is the summary. Yeah, this is literally all the words,
Yeah.
but that's spread across 40 pages. Yeah, sometimes like one word is repeated like in the middle of a single page. Some of them are blank altogether.
Jonah, you know Jackson's handwriting better than us. Can you help us decipher this?
Of course, yes. It pains me to even read it. I mean, it's so far away from the normal, lucid, concise notes that Jackson sends to me. Many names, many forms, but all the same and toward one end. Need help, too big, too ghastly. These dreams like Carlyle's. Check that psychoanalyst files. All of them survived. They'll open the gate. Why? So the power and the danger is real. Many threads beginning. The books are in Carlyle's safe. Coming for me. Will the ocean protect? Ho ho, no quitters now. Must tell and make readers believe. Should I scream for them? Let's scream together. I mean, what sort of madness is that? You could see what I mean about him, about me being concerned for him.
Mm-hmm.
I can see, Jonah. It's not Jackson, is it?
No, it certainly isn't. I don't know what to make of all this. All I can say is I feel like I should have done more. But what could I have done? He wouldn't have listened to me anyway. I always told him to be careful. I knew that this would catch up with him. When you mess with these kind of people, sooner or later, bad things are going to happen.
Well, you know, Jackson, he was like a dog with a bone. That was the way he lived.
He was exactly that. Exactly. But that's what made him so good. You know, he had the courage of his convictions. He didn't really make many close friends because he said that having close friends was sometimes a hindrance and maybe a weakness. He didn't really have any family either. He was his whole life was his work. You know, and he didn't have any fear. He didn't fear for himself. And I think he got in too deep with this, and whatever's happened has happened because of that.
Mm-hmm. But he did make friends, and he was friendly to people, and they were friendly back. And
I mean, he was liked. He was well liked. Everybody liked Jackson. Wherever he went, all over the world, that's why he was so good. He got information because people liked him, but he never really made deep relationships. Maybe because he was so transient in the way he worked. But
and his work was worthwhile. He did save lives in Peru.
Well, I know he was struck with you guys for sure. You know, he always spoke so highly of you all. Maybe he didn't really know how. I always saw him as a friend. I don't know whether I ever told him that, but he was a good man. It's just a damn shame. He finishes off his coffee, like just kind of swills it around in the bottom of the cup. That's pretty much all I've got as far as notes go. I mean,
it's more than enough.
Been enormously helpful, Jonah. I'm not sure quite what we're going to do with this, but we'll need to absorb it and to process it and to start following up some of these leads. But
do you think
we should
just hand it over? I mean, maybe the police. I should give it all to the police. Maybe it will help them catch the killers or whoever was responsible for the killing. I understand that they were killed on the scene, the killers.
Well, we're working with the police, Jonah. So Douglas here has got a background in law enforcement and it's working quite closely with Lieutenant Paul. So we can take these and bring them to the police's attention for you.
Well, if you could do that, would be great. I mean, don't you go making the same mistake that Jackson made. I don't want you getting mixed up in this. You know, there are a reason that police get paid to do this job. I'll hand them all over to you, and you know that Jackson's funeral is on Monday, don't you?
We do.
Mm-hmm. At Cypress Hills.
That's right. Yeah, Cypress Hills. Yeah. In 2 p.m.
Right. Well, I expect we'll see you there, Jonah.
Yeah. I'll see you there. Thanks for dropping by. I really appreciate it. As I said, I'm sorry again that I hadn't contacted you earlier.
We're very grateful for the help, Jonah. Thank you. It's been enormously helpful. So we'll see you on Monday.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, we'll see you then. He shows you out. So you head back out into the main office with a fistful of papers. And by the time you are back outside on Lexington Avenue, the darkness has fully fallen. Snow is drifting down, and the icy roads on a weekend are busy.
We better get indoors.
Indeed.
Should we spend the evening going through these notes?
I think so.
See if there's
If anyone
anything
has
more
any
we
other
can glean.
anyone has any plans?
Anywhere warmer than this.
Okay, where are you going to head to? Are
Well,
you heading
you're
to one of
welcome.
your houses?
Welcome to come to my apartment. It's small, but
Perfectly formed.
Perfectly
well
beautiful.
appointed.
Then let's find how consummate a host you are. Then, Stanton.
Well,
Let's head to Stanton's.
Yes. I don't go for hosting large dinner parties, I must admit. You're more likely to find an array of books rather than an array of sandwiches. But we can certainly order something from the deli downstairs.
Okay. So you head up through the city to the Upper East Side, the Upper West Side, which is where Stanton's house is. Quite close to the university, I presume.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And presently you are inside Stanton's apartment, away from the chill of the January evening and the snow.
Yes. Third floor. Well, second floor if you're British. Third floor if you're American. Apartment 32, 207 West 109th Street.
Okay, you all hang up your heavy outer garments, coats, hats, gloves, etc.
I'll put the kettle on, shall I?
Lex, you're beginning to feel your side is giving you quite a bit of discomfort with you because you've done quite a lot of moving around and walking and general kind of activity today. So you appreciate taking some weight off your feet.
Oh dear. You look a bit stiff there, Lex. Would you like me to take a look at your wound? Let's redress it.
No, it's okay. The hospital sorted it out. I'm okay. I just need a rest.
Well, maybe 2 sugars in your tea then.
What? Tea? What?
Oh yes. I know that it's not as easy to come by in New York as you might think, but I have a package sent over every now and again.
It's not easy to get hold of because it's disgusting. I'll take a coffee like a good normal person, thank you.
Really? I'll roll my eyes and look at Douglas.
I've been in the States long enough to take up coffee.
They
Well,
invented,
I like coffee, but can't
we
beat
invented
it.
coffee for a reason.
Yeah, typical American. I think they invented.
Heathens, the lot of you. Okay, I'll put the pot of coffee on the stove as well. It's those little metal ones that are in 2 parts.
Okay, after partaking of refreshments created by Stanton and ordered up from or collected from the deli just around the corner. I don't think you can order up back in the 20s.
No,
You
I have a
gather
spell
around
for that.
with the notes.
So,
The bloody tongue cult was one of the things Augustus Larkin muttered in his fitful dreams or fitful sleep.
Yeah, and the High Priestess as well.
well, that's not worrying.
You don't think he went back to Peru? Oh no, Larkin was already like that before Peru. So where did Larkin go?
Well, he grew up in Africa, didn't he?
Mm.
So whatever it was, he brought with him to Peru rather than the other way around.
Yes.
Yeah,
The
you
good
remember.
Shenders.
Sorry, you remember, just to extrapolate on what Tom just said. You do remember that his family were from Kenya. Well, they weren't from Kenya, but they were successful colonialists in Kenya, which is where he grew up.
And the part set 2 tend to shiver down my spine. But the Muscosites, the land being completely barren.
Well, there are parallels, aren't there? What concerns me is that we all know that in Peru there was something there, something contained that was potentially being released. And when Jonah read that note to us, Jackson's last note, things like they'll open the gate and worldwide plan.
So something even larger, similar but greater.
That's what worries me.
Mm.
But were these, I hate to say this about Jackson, but were these the ravings of a madman? He clearly was unwell when he wrote these.
If it is, and it looks like it may well be, the question is why? What has driven him mad?
Yeah.
He's chased this all over the world. Nairobi, Hong Kong, Shanghai, London.
What concerns me is he's returned here to bring us information. Does it mean that everything that we seek, or the answers we seek, aren't here? They're where he's been.
And
Which
we
means
also
we can-
have to keep one step ahead of his murderers.
Which is hard to do when we're following in Jackson's footsteps to continue the metaphor.
3 steps behind Jackson.
Unless we wipe them out, at least the ones that are in New York. What is there in New York that we can investigate further? Finding out the actual name of that ship is something that we can do at the library, which will be, and we should be able to find the owner as well. What else?
Carlisle was based here, wasn't he?
So we're thinking that if there's information in Carlisle's safe, we need to obtain that somehow.
There was also a reference to, what is it? The something are in Carlisle's safe. And then there was a reference to the psychoanalyst files. Remember, Dr. Robert Huston was described as a Freudian psychologist. He was a member of the Carlisle expedition.
Where did Carlisle live?
Yeah, just to go back on that. So you know that Erica Carlisle, she's a famous socialite in New York. She's the heir. She inherited the company, the Carlisle Corporation, who deal in munitions and import export.
Was it her that went to find
She went looking for
her brother? Yeah.
Yeah, but the Carlisle mansion is in Westchester, so upstate New York.
Westchester, okay. Well, if we wanted to go there, we could head there on our way to Harvard.
Well,
she's going to be keen to find out what happened to her brother, so she may be willing to help us.
You know that Erica Carlisle is, she's very, she's like, how can I put this? She's quite important, so quite, she's always in the kind of, yeah, she's always in the kind of in the social columns, and it might be quite difficult to just rock up and get an audience with her. Yeah, it'd be trying to contact a member of the royalty probably here. And
we'd need something to get her attention. I wonder if we need to find out a little bit more before takes us seriously.
Well, yes.
I mean, if that safe is in her possession, then we're only going to get access to the contents through her, and I can't imagine she's just going to hand them over to 4 of us off the street.
Complete strangers, no, quite.
We've got to take something to her that makes her think that we can help unlock what happened to her brother. I mean, we have some of that already with Jackson's researches, but perhaps we need a bit more. But that's another New York connection, isn't it?
Yeah, just going back to the Carlisle. Sorry, just to give you the full information because you would know this. The Carlisle Corporation is just off Broadway in Manhattan by the Woolworth Building. That's their main office, and their businesses in New York, transportation, munitions, and international trade. So you could go, obviously have access to the business, but it's like you said, you've got to probably have a reason to request an audience with her, which wouldn't be that easy, I don't think.
And then a little bit further afield, we've got Miriam Atwright, it's at Harvard University.
And the Juju House.
Yeah. Yes. I'm not keen on that one.
Just the name puts you off.
Gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Just remind me a little later on if we do go wandering into places like that. Perhaps we need to explore a bit more protection before we go down that kind of route. But anyway, that's.
When you say protection, what do you mean?
Well, something a bit more heavy duty than we often carry firearm-wise.
Well, are you an expert? Given the last time I tried to hit something with my shotgun, I soon returned to a trusty pistol. Unless you're suggesting we go all Al Capone.
We'll run into legal difficulties, aren't we?
Just a thought, but perhaps not one to pursue in the immediate future.
No, but I'd take your point that if you're going to get madmen running at you, we don't want what happened to Lex to happen again to any of us.
So where are we washing up with this? We've got Juju House, which I don't think any of us are that keen on, not without some firepower. We've got Carlisle's sister, who perhaps we need a bit more before we can she'll give us an audience. What else was there in New York?
I don't know actually.
And that's it.
Do some research. That scar, photo of that scar on that fellow's head, search
Yeah.
through some occult.
That fellow's head.
Oh, that was the scar carved into Jackson.
Yes, was it not?
Yeah, and we know Carlisle's sister Erica is quite important. There was a reference to her companion Victoria Post in the news reports. Is that a name we're sort of aware of from social circles, or I'm just wondering if that might be a way in to get to Erica, slightly more accessible route.
Yeah, I'll just check that out. That's in the newspaper reports that Stanton originally found about the Carlisle expedition.
Yeah,
Yeah?
it was. Yeah, I think she was just described as Erica's companion. Is there anywhere we could research the bloody tongue and those sort of cults a little bit further? Stanton, is that something?
Yeah, I'll certainly have a look for that. That's what I was thinking of doing. Exhaust all possibilities here before we move on.
The name Victoria Post doesn't ring any bells. In fact, you haven't seen any reference to that name other than in that one article. So, because it's not like it appears in the columns of the newspapers or anything like that. She's not like a known associate.
Okay. Actually, Douglas, you did come up with one other thing, and that was trying to track down the ship.
Yes.
Whether that's something we can do in New York.
Yeah, no, definitely. As I say, in the library, we would, if we can find Lloyd's Register of Shipping, and they will be listed by tonnage and names alphabetically. We should be able to narrow it down, even if we can't identify it, and maybe we'll find the name of the owner as well.
So there's that. There's a bit of research about some of the things in Jackson's notes. Nothing's leaping out as an obvious next step.
Well, let's go for the least risky ones first.
Library.
Just to give us because what will happen is if we don't get a little bit more information, we're going to go to see people and make fools of ourselves by going, tell us what you know. That's really not going to get us very far.
Yeah.
So we need a line of investigation before we start questioning people.
Yeah. Shall we meet for breakfast and then hit the library first thing?
Yeah.
I'm happy to explore the university library for any references of extensive knowledge of their sort of folklore in the cult section. New York Public Library for the Lloyd's Register.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let me just make a note of this. So library, so Stanton, you're going to go to the Columbia University Library,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to be looking up what?
African cults, and especially the Bloody Tongue and God of the Black Wind.
Okay, so all that stuff out of that.
Yeah, it's concentrating on Jackson's investigations in Africa.
Do you want a research assistant for that, Stanton?
Quite happy to. Douglas and Lex, can you handle the Lloyd's aspect? Douglas, you obviously seem to know a lot about it.
So Douglas and Lex, you're going to go to the New York Library, the New York Public Library, yeah?
Yep.
You got it.
And you're just looking up about the ship.
Yep.
Anything else?
I think that's it, isn't it not? And then depending on the name of the ship or the owner, then we'll try and find out more about the owners.
Okay. And that's going to be tomorrow. Right.
Yeah,
so
I think maybe spend time doing that tomorrow morning. I could come back here for lunch. You could give me a call here, and then we could arrange to meet up after that. I thought about calling me at the university, but don't really want to bring attention.
Fair enough.
To our investigations there.
Thoughts about what did you say then?
I was thinking that you could call me at the university, but obviously if I'm back at home, it's more discreet. And then we can work out where to meet up on what to do at lunchtime. And of course, you chaps have my number anyway.
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's tomorrow sorted. Is there anything else you want to do this evening before you?
Not me.
Eat,
I'm definitely ready to
go to
turn
sleep.
in.
Yeah. Lex,
Okay.
I think we should get you a cab to take you home rather than relying on the trams.
Yeah.
Somewhere warm and direct.
Do you know whereabouts you live yet, Douglas?
Yeah,
On the street.
I stay in hotels and I move on a regular basis. I don't have
Okay.
a apartment
Fair enough. Yeah.
because I'm now paranoid.
Okay, so is everybody going to head back to their various houses and hotels?
Yes.
Okay, I will. So you spend the night and nothing untoward occurs. The next day, we will fast forward to Douglas and Lex in the New York Public Library. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to make a library use roll, please?
Not really.
There's two of you. Hold on, there's two of you doing this, isn't there? So you can both make it actually because you're both doing it.
I could have not succeeded.
Okay.
I can't find the library.
Okay.
I not succeeded better than you.
You've
What
both
I'm
got
going-
you got the option of pushing the roll. Well, that basically means that you just spend the whole of the day in the library and do nothing else.
No, I'm going to go and ask the librarian. It's not a different. Could you tell me where I could find Lloyd's Register of the latest edition of the Lloyd's Register of Shipping, please?
Okay. So when you're pointed to the Lloyd's Register of Shipping, what are you actually looking for?
I am going to look for low ton. The Lloyd's boring point. Lloyd's Register only does ships of 100 tons or higher. Based on that size of that ship,
Mm-hmm.
I would look for a low tonnage ship and then look alphabetically for names that start DA. Is it DAR? Was it?
Yeah.
And scan down that until I can find ones that look that start with those letters.
Okay.
If it's a British ship, it will be in there registered, but it won't tell you that it's home port, unfortunately. So there might be quite a lot of them, but given it's quite a small ship.
Okay. I want you to, on that basis. There are quite a lot of them. So I want you to make a library use roll with a bonus die to actually make any headway. Otherwise, you just kind of swamp.
I think I need that bonus die. Hold on.
Sweet. 26. That's good, is it?
Yeah, unfortunately, my library uses 20.
Okay, not sweet. Shall I do it too?
Yeah, because I got no idea.
We're working together. I've rolled 5. So
Nice.
That is a hard success.
So you spent ages looking through all of the lists, and there were just so many ships beginning with DAR that you got kind of the library blindness, Douglas, I'm afraid. So Lex kind of saunters up behind you, just looks over your shoulder, and he goes, "Oh, the Dark Mistress. That looks interesting."
Yeah, with a name like that.
Exactly. British registered ship, the right size, Dark Mistress, owned by one Alfred Penhurst.
Very nicely done, Lex. Alfred Penhurst. That name doesn't mean anything to me.
No,
So,
I'm afraid not.
phone book. Is he based? No, he's not going to be based in New York, is he? He's British.
No.
The British, yeah.
Well, that's a name. That's a start.
Want to keep in the back pocket if we really are following all of these strands. We might well end up in London.
Indeed. Good. Well, that's progress.
Yeah, it's only taken you a few hours to find that. Well, no, that's a good job. You've got the name of the ship and you've got the name of the owner. I mean, that's a lot more than you had half an hour ago.
That's true. Unfortunately, it may be just like ships. That's why he took the photograph. Well, hopefully it's of some significance. Right.
Okay, and we'll find out the results of Stanton and Jacob's searchings next time.
That wraps it up for this week. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope to see you next week, where clues start to be pieced together on Masks of Nyarlathotep.